conversation. Oh, we're live. All right, let's go.
We're in.
All right.
How is everybody?
Afternoon.
We're starting to lead this week.
It's great to see you again, Mr. Eckler.
Thank you. Very nice to see you too, Mr. Peck.
We've had I saw you on Friday, which was nice. Got to see a lot of our coworkers on Friday delivering the senior signs to the wonderful class of 2020. How did
It was an outstanding day.
How did the sign delivery go for you?
It was awesome. It was actually delivered over 70 signs. It was fun to watch a lot of the staff. That was a lot of work. So shout out to our bus garage department for putting stuff like that together.
Mr. Pistolka, shout out to him.
Yep, and definitely to all the administrators who got all the thing. I don't think it was perfect. Our bus backtracked quite a few times down various side streets, and at one point, Mr. Brilla and Mr. Callahan, I think, ran at least a quarter mile to get assigned to a student's house.
You could ask Mr. Benz or Mrs. Kyle or Mrs. Gebhardt, who are on my bus. I wasn't aware of how much jogging was going to be in delivering these things. It's
it was an exercise.
I like to think I'm taking okay care of myself in the physical department, but my cardio needs a little bit of improvement, is what I learned last Friday, because there was a lot of jogging involved that I wasn't necessarily prepared for. So it was a good workout too.
We had a handful of people that were behind us, in cars, and at one point we realized it was taking a little longer, and so we had to find places for bathrooms, and so it was a riot. Try to do that. But it was so much fun.
Our route was on right off of 5 Mile, so there was a couple houses on 5 Mile we kept missing, so we had to backtrack a couple times. But all in all, it was good. Mr. Sepka and I did another delivery yesterday to a great member of the class of 2020, Miranda. It was good to do a personal delivery there. It was, I tell you, it's Teacher Appreciation Week, which we're going to talk about in a second. And today, I believe, is National Teacher Appreciation Day. But
I appreciate you.
You're my man. What's going to be weird is we got to somehow figure out when we're both going to retire. Because imagine a scenario where I feel like both we have to go together. I don't there's not. It's the Bulls breaking up.
That I think, if I'm not mistaken, that would mean that I have to hang on 2 years longer than you, or about that, or something like that.
You don't have to. You could ride off into the sunset, but I feel like Mrs. Eckler will probably want you to keep teaching as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
If she's learned anything from these 8 weeks, it's having you around in the house.
That's probably a very, very safe assessment that you could make. So speaking of Teacher Appreciation Week, is there a teacher that you would like to give a personal shout out to that made an impact in your life?
I think I've been thinking about this all day, and I think I have there's 4 real quick that I want to talk about. From in middle school, it'd be Mr. Slew, who he was my social studies teacher. And he really showed me that you can teach social studies in a fun way, and you also don't have to take yourself too seriously. You can make jokes about it. Dating myself mid-'90s, I remember there was a day we were both wearing denim shirts because I had to dress up for something. And remember when denim dress shirts were a thing in the mid-'90s? We both had a denim dress shirt on, so I was his assistant for the day. I got to give a shout out to my chemistry teacher, Mr. O, from high school, where we still talk almost every day now. In fact, my current wife sat behind me in chemistry class, and I got to give Mr. O a shout out for being showing that as a teacher, it's most important to be authentic and be yourself, and don't be afraid to share the personal details of your life with your students to make connections. You're a person too. And then college, I'm going to talk about Dr. Payne, who did a lesson with The Simpsons when I was in undergrad, and I do the same lesson, almost a very similar version of the same lesson, as an homage to him. And then lastly, I know this is taking a while, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's only a half-hour show. We got to get the students in.
I got through it pretty quickly. I want to give a shout out to Mrs. Cashing, who was my supervisor during student teaching, and I will always remember this quote. Is she watched me teach, and she's like, "I would never do anything the way that you do it, but it works for you, so keep doing it." And that's my sort of motto. How about you, Mr. Eckler?
Well, I would have shared so many, but since you took up,
I got 4. You can share 4.
We got time.
Yeah, we do.
All right.
We're on schedule.
We have 2 guests that are currently waiting that I want to make sure we get to. So I would say it's always been, I've used him a few times. I had a lot. I went to Webster schools when we were one school, And I had Larry Wall as an English teacher in 8th grade and then again in 11th grade, and he had a big influence on his way of teaching me. So he's somebody that always comes to mind. I had a lot of actually the English department and social department that had a pretty big influence, at Schroeder. So I actually had some of the teachers that we still teach with today that had a big impact on me. Mr. Cruz certainly did in health class, and Miss Connolly, I had her for public speaking. So I'll leave it. Those would be my choices. And I always wanted to be a teacher, so I always just pick apart teacher styles of ones that I liked and didn't like, ones that I could do and didn't do. And I know for a fact, it's kind of funny, despite the fact that Mr. Wall is probably one of my favorite teachers, there's no chance I could ever teach like he does or did. Laid back and this approach to it, and it lacked, but he was great. And so anybody that can get me to read Catcher in the Rye is probably getting 2 thumbs up. Now we have our guests here today.
High school.
They're both working their way in. All right, I see both of them. So we're going to honor. We have our 2 teachers in waiting and our 2 seniors. So I'm going to bring in our first senior because I could see her. I think Hannah's is trying to figure out the camera. I don't know if you have a way of talking to her, Mr. Peck.
Hannah, buddy. Hannah.
Here's our first guest today.
Hey, Chrysan.
Hi.
Chrysan gets this. How are you, Chrysan?
Good. How are you guys?
It's so nice to see you, Chrysan.
And here's an attempt at our second guest today. And
is she joining?
She's been trying to join. I don't know if she's on a phone or not.
It's the loading circle of doom.
All right. While we hope, comes in around, Chrysan, what have you been up to?
Well, I just did that little interview thing for the school play, which everyone should come to. It's on Zoom, and it's free.
Let's open with that. Let's talk about that for our Schroeder Good News. Go ahead and tell everybody what the school play is about.
Yeah, all the deets, Chrysan, for the people watching out there.
It's Clue, like the board game. So it's a murder mystery, a whodunit. It's going to be really funny. I mean, we've had to work through the little nitpicky things, because when we were practicing on stage before all this happened, we had all the props there, but now we just have to find things from our house. So it's going to be on Zoom next week. I think Saturday. Don't quote me on that.
I think it was Friday and Saturday.
Friday, Chrysan.
Friday.
Yeah, you should probably show up for both performances.
But yeah.
I'll be watching.
You better.
In honor of Teacher Appreciation Week, Chrysan, we do have a guest here with us today. All right. Miss Cami, how are you?
Hey, Danny! Yay! This is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
We've our first actual teacher from Spry joining, which is an awesome thing. All right.
This is an honor, guys. I love it. I'm so excited.
So happy to have you on the show.
Thanks, guys. I've been Zooming since 9 o'clock, so this is awesome.
Yeah. Welcome to Schroeder Good News. We all feel the Zoom fatigue. That is a very real thing that does happen. And it's why I do no Zooms on Tuesdays, so I can save all my energy for this show. All right, and I just hold on there for 1 second because we got our second senior that's finally come in today.
Hey, Hannah!
Hi, I finally got it to work.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Hannah, I have a quick question for you. How often do people call you Hannah?
Most of my life. But I respond to either, so.
Well, let's make sure you got it right for the show.
So
Yeah.
Have you been enjoying your quarantine days?
I've been enjoying it as much as I can. It's really boring, but what are you gonna do? I mean,
we all figure out.
You're going to socially distance. That's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And joining you for your Teacher Appreciation Week, we finally have our other guest, which is Miss Bailey is here.
Hello.
All right, so now we have our and we can start with our questions, at least for our Schroeder Good News for you guys. And the first one, again, Chrysan, you had an opportunity to do that while we're waiting for Hannah to get in. Hannah, what kind of good news do you have to share with us today?
I'm excited to go to MCC in the fall, and I'm going to minor in business and major in interior design. So I'm excited to do that. Nothing really else right now. I mean, I've been painting. What?
That's fantastic. I'll be sure to hire you as an interior designer. I'm
Perfect.
terrible.
Perfect. My first job. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm terrible at it. The second question that we kind of always go through again, like, is there something, Chrysan, that you missed most from school, from Webster Schroeder? Like, what do you miss most? We'll start with you.
I think just seeing everyone, especially just like in the cafeteria and the WTI, going to like sporting events, probably, or just being in class. Like we have some fun times in class, especially in CIA too. Just sitting at the table with Ashley and Nate and all of them. It's like that's what I miss. I just miss being around people, and like I feel kind of uneasy because I didn't know my last day at Schroeder as a student would be my last day.
Well said.
I feel like I would have done things differently. Like maybe gone to Mr. Carroll's room and, you know, pranked him one last time or something.
We have a big request to put him on this show, so I'm gonna keep trying.
Can I share a funny comment about Chrysan? Can I just chime in?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I'm sure we've all seen Chrysan on Twitter. I think it was during Chicago play when she was talking about the snow day and the Mr. Gamina. We were dying. Chrysan, that was shared with, I think, all of the Blue 16 at Spry, by the way. You're like, oh, Mr. Gamina?
Mr. Gamina. Yeah,
That was classic.
I said, you should give us a snow day. We haven't had one. And then we got a snow day. So.
You're like, number one.
Number one city in Rochester.
It was fantastic.
If we know we were going to have like however many days we've had off now, I wonder if we'd still be begging for those snow days.
Yeah, I wouldn't be begging for them.
Well, maybe we'll get one this weekend, seeing as we're supposed to have snow this weekend. Maybe he can, you know, make an announcement, have a snow day in May.
I mean, it's the second time I've had the good news show, Mr. Beckett. Good news. You leave the weather.
Who doesn't love snow on Mother's Day, right?
I can't hear Mr. Puck.
On Mother's Day. What about you? What is one thing you miss the most?
I think honestly, just being with people, like Chrysan said, just like going to the library and just having fun with friends and like going out after early release with my friends and just going out to stores and just goofing off and just being a senior and just honestly, I also miss being in class with the teachers and being in Mr. Peck's room and just having him, just making jokes with him, you know, about like cutting our heads off and being juiced about the school year, and just like stuff like that. I don't know. I just miss it all. But yeah.
Yeah, I never thought that I did miss
We'll do what we can.
Yeah, me either. Like I feel like I took it for granted, but now that it's gone, I wish I had it back.
Never thought
So,
I'd be missing it.
A great
At the beginning,
segue
I was like,
from
this
that.
is so cool. No school. We get to go on Zoom.
I know.
And now I'm just like, over it. I'm like,
The second day I want to do
I
this anymore.
started kind of like, this is going to be like, I remember, I'll share this with you guys. The day we left, there were a lot of us kind of joking because we really thought it was going to be 2 weeks or something, you know? And I remember
Agree.
like, I'm super psyched about like being able to teach, like just like in a bathrobe on my couch. We were joking like how cool it would be, and now we're just like totally.
Yeah. And I never thought my last day would be my last day in high school. So, I mean,
Never say never. Like one more fake day somehow. We'll figure it out.
If we can work it out and make it happen, we will make it happen.
yeah.
You guys, we would give up anything for you guys to have your last weeks of school together. Our hearts are just breaking for
I feel like it's definitely taken something away from everyone. So
Mhm.
yeah, I feel bad for us.
Totally
seniors,
agree.
But even like the juniors, like the baseball juniors, they're all sad that they're missing their
Yeah.
season.
point well taken. Yeah,
It's hard for everyone in some way.
it is.
So, building off of that, this next question for Chrysan and Hannah is obviously you have a huge global platform right now. Millions and millions or dozens and dozens of people are watching this online on the internet. At least a dozen people are watching this. So what advice would you give to the class of 2020, other seniors at Schroeder, other seniors around the country that are going through the exact same thing you are, that found out they're not going back to school this year for their senior year? what advice would you give them to, ease their mind, so to speak?
Just try to make the best out of quarantine and do everything you can to make yourself happy during this time. I mean, I know it's hard and there's not much to really do, but just like go to the park and social distance or find a hobby that you like to do.
I cannot hear anything Mr. Peck is saying, so don't know the question.
He asked, what advice would you give seniors around the country just about how to handle quarantine?
What advice would I give? I mean, just chill, basically. What else are you gonna do? Like, you can't do anything about it. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I painted my whole room. It was lime green before, now it's blue. What else have I done? I don't even
Find
know.
ways to occupy yourself, right?
What?
Just finding ways to occupy yourself.
Exactly. It's like we're little kids again. You stay home, play with your siblings, find something to do. Like,
Right.
just
So true.
For school online.
like, don't get too sad about it because we're part of history. Like, this is gonna be, people are gonna talk about this. Oh, the class of 2020. Like, we're strong for it. I feel like all of us, we're sad, but I feel like we're taking it pretty well. That's that. I think that.
Did you guys like your signs being delivered? That was
Yeah.
Yes, that was really cute.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool to watch.
Yeah.
Hannah, it was so great to see you when we delivered your sign.
I know. I was happy to see everyone.
Well, at this time, I have two other guests I know that want to join us and things like this, but I want to thank, I want to thank Miss Candy for joining us, and Hannah and Chrysan. You guys are awesome. Chrysan, good luck with the crew play. I can't wait to see it. And if you guys want to flip over to YouTube or turn it on, you'll see a couple other Schroeder seniors and teachers here in a second. But I unfortunately we really have.
Guys, this was a great honor. Chrysan, thanks, honey. I so appreciate it.
Thank you, Miss Candy, for coming.
Best Zoom ever. So thanks for thinking of me.
No problem.
Thank you for coming on.
Love you
Thanks so
guys.
much.
Love you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, baby on here now.
Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, and Chris.
Hey,
guys.
Happy Cinco de Mayo, Chris.
I see your
Nice
dress
to
for
see you guys.
occasion.
I'm going to see you too, Mr. Eckler.
I see you too, Chris. I love the hat, buddy. It's an awesome Cinco de
Thanks.
Mayo. Thank you so much for waiting. So for our audience members that are viewing in, with here is graduate of the class 2020, Chris Teach. All right, and his teacher, Miss Burgess. And Miss Burgess has a new addition to the family that happened during the quarantine.
Any good news to share, Mrs. Burgess?
Yeah.
I
Why
had
don't
a
you share your good
baby.
Yay!
And who do we have? Introduce our little one.
This is Colin Burgess.
Aw.
He's wonderful. Are you enjoying being at home with the baby? That's some good news.
Yeah, it's been nice. I mean, luckily, we probably wouldn't have been doing anything else right now. So things are going well for us.
That's awesome. And Chris, I've also learned that you have some amazing good news. You want to share with everybody your good news?
Yes. My good news is that I'm going to Nazareth College.
Woo!
Nice. Congratulations, Chris.
Awesome, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
Really
Awesome.
appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah.
It's always, we miss seeing you smile around school, Chris. It always brightened everybody's day up.
You bet, Mr. Eichler.
So, Chris, I got to ask you, what was your, now that you're a senior, what was your favorite moment from your senior year this year so far?
My favorite moment was the homecoming week and pep rallies.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. We got a lot of first-time viewers out there. Were there any special awards or anything you won that weekend?
I remember getting the Spirit Award.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, even though you're going to be a big college guy and be going to Nazareth, you're going to have to come back like every homecoming now and show people how to have school spirit for homecoming.
That's right, Mr. Peck.
We might be holding you to that, Chris. You just got to come up. All right. What have you been doing, Chris, since you've been home on quarantine? Have you been able to pick up some new hobbies? What have you been doing to stay busy, buddy?
I've been doing some schoolwork for my classes, and I've rediscovered my music again. I've been doing that, playing some songs and doing some work on that, and playing my drums. My dad went to the store on Thursday, so we got like lots of groceries to have. So we got lots of food around the house, and we went on some hikes, some walks because it was nice out over the weekend.
Yeah, we had some great weather for some hiking, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you were you able to get your sign on Friday?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Who was able to deliver that to you?
I didn't know who it was.
Oh, you weren't sure? I know it wasn't on my bus. I know I wanted to come by your house, but we split up the work. So I was wondering if you made sure you probably just put that sign in the yard.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Chris, what is there anything you'd like to say? There's so many people watching this on the internet right now. Is there anything? I know that former President Barack Obama is going to give a commencement address on TV in a couple weeks. But now, once we got you here, and quite frankly, I like you more than President Obama. What is there any message to share with all the members of the class of 2020, whether it be in Webster or around the country? You know, what's your message to the class of 2020?
I would say don't give up, especially during these times. But, keep getting your schoolwork done and turned in, because it will bring you closer and closer to graduation. And I wish I want to give a big shout out to the wonderful class of 2020, because the class of 2020 has been a big part of my senior year to make our year extra special. And I give a big shout out to my unified team and to you, Mr. Eckler, and you, Mr. Beck.
We appreciate it. We've always appreciated that.
That's great advice, Chris.
Well said, sir.
We'd have to turn all that, maybe we should have a lined up. I know you, Chris, you're going to put your name in for students potentially speaking at graduation. So I think you that was a good audition for you right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, hopefully Mr. Benz was watching the show and he saw that.
Oh yeah.
I do have to keep sharing out the link and things like that. Well, Miss Bailey, we haven't heard too much from you, so I'd just like you to give everybody an update on what are you guys doing at home? Because I know you, like me, have two young ones that are very active at your house, and it gets tough at times. So, get over there to
things are going pretty well. We have a lot of timeouts. So every day, and I'm waiting for my kids, or it might be for myself. But I would say our highlight every week is our Zoom at 3:00 on Friday with our unified basketball team. We have a lot of fun. Last week, Chris picked out the song and we had a dance party. So definitely the highlight of every week has been unified Zooms. For sure. So
I'm gonna start zooming. I think we just do that.
I can't wait to be Mrs. Bailey. Can I spill the beans? Can I spill the news here? Chris, I'm gonna be your Zoom on Friday. I can't wait to join you guys and all the other
my goodness.
all the other unified kids. It's gonna be great. Every day when I wake up, I say, "Is it Friday yet? Is it time to Zoom with the unified kids?" Because I miss you.
Chris, I also have a friend who wants to say hi from the Best Buddies team over here. So hi, Colsey.
Hey.
A surprise guest. What a great show it is this week.
So I'm starting to really like the fact that I get like emails from people who might be seeing the show and saying, "Can I get on?" Like, tends to be like the thing. So we keep like throwing it in there. Kelsey, how you been at home? You have any good news to share with everybody today?
I am starting to set up my schedule for MCC. I'm going there for special education teaching in math and science. So
Awesome.
yep, and then spending a lot of time with my little sister, not so much my brother.
That's okay. I still see your brother in class every now and again. He's doing just fine. You can let him know that I said that.
He's busy
You're
playing
gonna be-
video games right now, so
You'd be great at special education teaching, Kelsey, too. That's a great choice, I think, for you.
yeah.
Really
Kelsey,
good.
I'll have you know too. The last two Tuesdays I've ordered from Bunsey's. Okay.
Yes.
I want to let you know because you'd always check in and ask if I'd been to Bunsey's lately. So the last 2 Tuesdays we've been taking advantage of
Their wing deal. Their
I
2-for-1
want to get
wing.
wing deals. I talked. Mr. Eckler ordered from Bunsey's last
Wings
Tuesday.
are good.
Mr. Prinzi ordered from Bunsey's last Tuesday. I know Coach Stumpf is placing an order tonight. So-
you gotta do their Fridays too, because that's Fish Fry Friday.
Ooh, all right. I might have to change up my game plan this week.
Are you still able to pick up some shifts, Kelsey, or is it?
I'm laid off until the restaurants reopen, but I've been checking in with my coworkers, especially the one chef that is stuck there, cooking everything and making sure that he's doing good.
Well, we're doing
And
our
the
part
one,
to try to
and
keep
the
him
one
busy.
manager, I don't remember what his name is, but he's doing a great job too.
Cutter.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. Yeah, the guy that is on our team the past 2 Tuesdays.
I
He's
don't think
working
he's
hard.
watching.
No.
You never know who's out there watching, as we can see by the special guests that pop in. I don't know. I mean, I mentioned President Obama. He might pop in. Who knows?
Chris is going to send us out with like, what are you going to tell everybody? Happy what? Cinco what?
Cinco de Mayo.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. We always like May 5th. And this is the part of the show usually where we ask, and Cole, since I joined you in, like, if there's another senior you think we should reach out to next week to put on the show, or perhaps another staff member that you guys would want to see, what recommendations do you have?
Pretty sure Ray would like to join because I know she's got some news to share.
Okay. We can
right.
ask for that for sure.
That'd be
Ray should have
great.
been on this show with Chris. That would have been perfect.
Oh, what of them?
What do you think, Chris? Is there anybody who should we have on in a future show?
I'm thinking about for students to have Ethan Fargo on.
Ooh.
All right.
All right. We can track him down.
We can make that happen. I know next week, we got to plug next week's show, Mr. Eckert. Next week is going to be a special college edition of the class of 2020. We're going to have some former Schroeder grads that have now gone and graduated college in the past week or so on next week. I'm really excited about that show and seeing where some of our Schroeder grads have ended up and what they're doing. And I guarantee that there's going to be a very special guest next week that is going to make some people's days.
We think.
I think so.
Tuning
I
in.
think ratings are going to boost and go through the roof.
They're going to go from 2 to 7. This is going to be
We're
awesome.
going to go from a dozen viewers to a baker's dozen, at least.
All right, Kelsey, Chris, Miss Burgess, Miss Bailey, you guys have been phenomenal guests. All right, we love to have you on Trader Good News. Keep spreading all the goodwill. Take care of that little one. He's adorable. I can see a smile right now.
Thank you.
It was good to see you, neighbor. I haven't seen you in so long.
It was so good to see you, neighbor.
We miss you guys tremendously, and
Miss you all.
we're gonna do
Yeah,
some.
miss you guys.
We're gonna do some more cool stuff for seniors. All right,
Awesome.
Stay tuned.
Thanks
Stay
for
safe,
having us, guys.
take a walk.
Bye, Mr. Eckler.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Happy Cinco de Mayo.